oftentimes you're going to be asked to find some vocabulary when you're reading. And what happens is, I think a lot of kids, a lot of us, just as as students of reading, we're not even aware that we don't know a word. So when you're asked to look for some really good words in your reading, this is a perfect time to really take ownership and own this vocabulary that will make a difference for you and add to your vocabulary. So it doesn't have to be just words you don't know. It can also be words you think are interesting in a sentence. So let's go over this one right here, this chapter from Part-Time Indian. And one of the first words I noticed, well, let's back up a little bit. So you have this whole big wall of text and you're reading. And when you're reading and you're doing a shared reading with a class, let's say you're reading a novel, or even if you're just reading a novel by yourself, but you still have to do some thinking with it. Even if please don't ever do your work for a teacher. Do your learning for yourself. So you're reading, and one thing to do is you've already read, this chapter, and you think you know every word, and nothing seems unfamiliar to you, which would make sense because the vocabulary in Part-Time Indian is not really hard vocabulary. But what you need to do, again, is kind of reread through a different idea and look through words that are interesting or difficult. So, I walk like a zombie through the next few weeks in Riordan. No, that's not exactly the right description. I mean, if I'd been walking around like a zombie, I would have been scary. So no, I wasn't a zombie, not at all, because you can't ignore a zombie. So that made me, it made me nothing, zero, zilch, nada. All right, so let's stop right there. First of all, everybody knows what a zombie is, but that's still a pretty good word. And it's interesting, too, because then the writer talks about being a zombie, but then he talks about being not a zombie, like less than a zombie. So then he goes on and he does this comparison. This is a context clue of words in a list. And he goes zero, zilch, nada. Ooh, that word zilch is pretty cool, too. So the other thing is, so I've already found two really interesting words, zombie and zilch. And I also like that alliteration. They all begin with Z. Then he starts talking about different things and getting a zit. Okay. So, well, I'm going to go down here and see if I can find some more interesting words. Well, Roger would nod his head at me, but he didn't socialize with me or anything. I wondered if maybe I should punch everybody in the face. Punch everybody in the face. Maybe they'd all pay attention to me. That word socialize is kind of interesting. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, Mr. Sad Sack, how many ways are you going to tell us how depressed you were? Ooh, depressed is a good word. Okay, maybe I'm overstating my case. Ooh, that's a good word. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Oh man, that's a good word. So let me tell you a few good things that I discovered during that awful time. Now again, if you know what overstating means and you know what exaggerating means, that's fine. But man, to really explore those words and what they mean in terms of the writing and the craft of this particular passage might be really interesting. So let's see, already on this one page I found zombie, zilch, depressed, overstating, and exaggerating. Anything else I can see? No. For me, that's pretty good. I'm going to explore those words. Oh, are you kidding me? Wait, slouching. Okay, that's also really interesting too. I know just from my own background knowledge that this title right here of this chapter is an allusion to another book, another writer, but I won't talk about that right now. These are really good words. Slouching, zombie, zilch, overstating, exaggerating, socialize, depressed. Ooh, some really good words right there. So that's basically it. When you're asked to look through text and find really interesting words, again, they could be words that you already are pretty familiar with, but look at them through the idea of the writer's craft. What word choices did the writer use that are interesting or might be unfamiliar to you? And add those to your vocabulary as well.